On behalf of Brushwood Center, I'm Bill Kurtis. Welcome.
And I'm Donna LaPietra. Bill and I are absolutely delighted to be back here again this year to welcome all of you to what is the 38th annual Smith Symposium. Now I know what you're thinking. This does not look anything like the tent in Ryerson Woods where we've gathered for so many years. Well, you would be right. That's because, once again this year, unfortunately, we cannot gather in person. And so, Bill and I are back here in our own neck of the woods, here in our pine forest, where we promise you, though, it will be an exciting virtual experience. And so what I would suggest is that you just sit back, get a drink, maybe have a little trail mix, some snacks, maybe a little something from the fire, and enjoy what we have planned for you. We promise it's going to be terribly engaging and dynamic, but I have a feeling I'm getting ahead of myself, Bill, because we need for you to do a little setup, if you would.
Well, let me explain.
Okay.
The Smith Nature Symposium began in 1984. It's a way to memorialize the civic and environmental legacy of Herman Dunlap and Ellen Thorne Smith. The Smiths generously donated their land and cabin to form Ryerson Woods and shared their leadership and notable institutions across the Chicago region. This year's Smith Nature Symposium explores climate justice and healing through the power of community. With symposium events spanning the summer season, Brushwood Center hosted 65 programs for more than 1,200 youth, families, and people of all ages, including many of you, focused on these critical topics. We gathered virtually, in person, outdoors, indoors, and on Zoom to learn, to create, and to heal. We showed that during a time of crisis, it really is the power of community that pulls us through. Tonight's award ceremony marks the culmination of this symposium series. We'll celebrate Brushwood Center's vital work in our community, announce the Youth Environmental Leadership Honoree, and hear from Winona LaDuke, the 2021 Smith Nature Symposium Honoree, a fearless advocate for the earth.
The symposium is also Brushwood Center's largest fundraising event of the year. And Brushwood Center is counting on your support here tonight. So here's all you have to do. Support Brushwood Center by going to brushwoodcenter.org and clicking donate at any time during this evening. Once again, that's brushwoodcenter.org and clicking donate. And now we welcome Skip Twardos to help us honor the ancestral roots of this land. He will be followed by Catherine Game, Brushwood's Executive Director, who will update us about the important work that's underway at the center.
Bonjour, Anin, Indishnikash Nishkwanadek. My Indian name is Two Doors. I am also called Skip Twardos. Brushwood Center at Ryerson Woods promotes the importance of nature for nurturing personal and community well-being, cultivating creativity and inspiring learning. In doing so, we honor those who came before us thousands of years ago and their love and respect of this land. Land acknowledgement statements are designed to bring more awareness and understanding of the history of Indigenous people and their territories. But it should also be more than that. It should be a call for us to rethink our relationship with the environment and the histories of all peoples, and to challenge the legacies of settler colonialism in our society. In the mid-1700s, the Potawatomi tribe moved south along the western shore of Lake Michigan from the Green Bay area, displacing other tribes such as the Miami, only to be removed from the area themselves by the government's Indian Removal Act of 1830. Brushwood Center at Ryerson Woods honors this land as the traditional home of Algonquian-speaking peoples. We celebrate their traditions and culture and their immemorial ties to this land. Today, Brushwood Center continues to be a place where many people from diverse backgrounds find healing, vitality, and relationship with nature. We honor the multicultural traditions of the land, the history of the Native peoples, and those who continue to maintain and shape these traditions today.
Thank you, Skip, for grounding us in this sacred place. I'm Catherine Game, Executive Director of Brushwood Center at Ryerson Woods, and we thank everyone for joining us this evening. Brushwood Center believes in the healing value of nature and the arts. It's what we do. Working with communities in Lake County and the greater Chicago region, we transform this belief into practice with programs focused on physical and emotional health, artistic and musical creativity, and community and personal well-being. Through intentional collaborations, we help respond to the needs of the world as it is and inspire hope for the world as it could be. The 38th Annual Smith Nature Symposium series centers on climate justice and healing. We lift up the strengths and vision of our communities to achieve greater environmental, racial, and economic justice. And we thank you for your partnership, your leadership, and your support in this work. We appreciate our very generous sponsors this evening for supporting Brushwood Center's mission. Our gold sponsors, Nancy and David Levy, as well as Adele Simmons, who is the daughter of the namesakes of the symposium, Herman Dunlap and Ellen Thorne-Smith. The symposium memorializes their civic and environmental legacy. We thank our silver sponsors, Amy and Robert Heinrich, Mike Levin, Melanie and Ed Ranney, Vicki and George A. Ranney Jr., and Jean Meilinger and John Schneider. Our friend sponsors, Lily and Henry Barkhausen, Bobby Brown and Nick Bothfeld, Winnie and Bob Crawford, Barbie and Tom Donnelly, Judy and Tony Iacuzzi, Heidi Keisler, Patricia and John Leonard, Eleanor Ranney Mendoza and Javier Mendoza, Suzanne Melick McKenna, Laura Redman, Judith Stockdale and Jonathan Boyer, A. Gale and William Sturm, Martha Twaddle and Tom Miller, and CIBC Bank. Our ambassador sponsors, our supporter sponsors. Thank you to our in-kind sponsors and our program sponsors who support us throughout the year, including the Chicago Community Trust. We also give special recognition to our host committee and to our planning committee for helping us continue to adapt to the changing pandemic parameters for events. And thanks to our board of directors, advisory board, and honorary board for supporting Brushwood Center with your time and talent. The last year and a half of this pandemic have only strengthened our understanding that community is essential to climate resilience. We'd like to share the following film, which highlights Brushwood Center's work and our partnerships with our community over the last year.
What makes Brushwood unique in my eyes is that they take a fresh aspect of nature and people and connect that together to really build wonderful programs that help to educate and to grow the community. actually I see the benefits of not only nature but the programs that Brushwood has brought to the community, and how it has a calming nature and works and helps to really bring out the creativity in individuals, as well as the appreciation of nature itself, and then those talents that people have. So it redirects maybe bad energy into good energy, and understanding and valuing nature and the community.
I think one of the most important things about the It's a Win program is that it's a powerful reminder that our youth are ready to be leaders. All of the students that I have worked with through this program are incredibly compassionate and interested and curious, and that curiosity and interest just needs to be supported and fostered. Many of the students we work with are much more knowledgeable than I am when it comes to different nature interests and artistic pursuits. They're so talented, and they just need to be given the platform and support to keep pursuing those interests.
Wellness is more than clinical practice. It's social, emotional, and spiritual. At Brushwood Center, this understanding of health is at the heart of everything we do. We also know the power of music and art, particularly on mental and emotional health. We know that wellness reaches beyond the individual because the big challenges we face are systemic in nature: climate change, racial inequities, and social injustices.
One of the things that drew me to Brushwood was the beauty of the place, how it inspires positive well-being just in being here. And over the last 25 to 30 years, there's a growing body of research evidence that shows positive connections between your mental and emotional well-being and your connection to nature. So we know that being in nature improves your cognitive abilities, actually, your ability to concentrate, to focus, to learn. We know that being in nature and having connection to nature improves your mood almost immediately, and overall your emotional well-being is enhanced by connection to nature.
As a veteran, my experience with nature is a little different than other people. I spend a lot of time in nature. Art gives you, permission to express yourself in different ways. The class at Brushwood, the way it's presented, you focus on meditation, and it actually encourages you to look at nature in a new way. You can explore, how you feel about what you're seeing in nature. So sometimes when you're painting a flower, it's not a representation of the flower itself, it's how you feel about that flower. And that's what I appreciate about the program. That's the whole purpose of art, isn't it? To interpret the world around you in your own unique vision of the world around you.
When I think about Brushwood Center's impact on communities, I think about the incredible children and students we work with who inspire us with their passion for protecting this planet. I think about the more than 250 artists we've featured throughout the year whose creativity and voices push us to think in new ways. I think about the military veterans and families who, amidst the many challenges of this year, joined us for nature walks, photography classes, concerts, and kayaking. And I think about our more than 50 program partners who helped make these art and nature opportunities possible for more than 8,000 people in our community last year. From libraries to hospitals to youth programs, we are so grateful to our partnerships.
We embrace the arts in various forms with the children and with their parents to be inspirational. Brushwood brought to us an opportunity to bring in children being able to engage in building artwork and to making something original from their thinking. That did nothing less than truly enrich the experiences that we brought to the children, and for our children to experience the joys and, as I said, the inspiration that arts, the humanities can bring into their lives, especially in the outdoor settings of nature.
Thank you for supporting these inspiring artists, partners, and champions in our community. We need your help to continue this important work. You can make a donation right now by visiting brushwoodcenter.org. I now have the pleasure of introducing our 2021 Environmental Youth Leadership Award. Made possible thanks to the generosity of Gail and William Sturm, this year's Leadership Award is a scholarship in the amount of $2,000 presented to Eduardo Flores. Nominated by Brushwood Center's partner, Clean Power Lake County, Eddie is a remarkable young leader and activist advocating for climate justice here in Lake County. Eddie serves on the steering committee of Clean Power Lake County, a community-driven coalition instrumental in the passage of the recent Climate and Equitable Jobs Act in Illinois, which combines pollution regulations with equity protections to ensure a just transition away from fossil fuels. Additionally, Eddie is a graduate of the Center for Conservation Leadership, Faith in Places Eco Ambassador Program, and Brushwood Center's Anti-Racism and the Environment cohort. But perhaps most inspiring are his aspirations to become a teacher. As Eddie stated in his application, there's only so much I can do as one person. However, if I can touch the next generation, together we can accomplish so much more. Please join me in welcoming Eddie Flores, recipient of the 2021 Gail and William Sturm Environmental Youth Leadership Award.
Thank you, Catherine, for your introduction, and I am humbled to accept this award. I first want to thank the Brushwood Center, the Review Committee, and Mr. and Mrs. Sturm for this award. Over the past few years, I've quickly learned the meaning of environmental justice and how much my hometown Waukegan exemplifies it. Environmental injustice is BIPOC, immigrant, low-income communities like mine being disproportionately impacted by environmental pollution, like 5 Superfund sites, a coal plant, and air pollution from ethylene oxide, a Class 1 carcinogen. Finding out about these issues was devastating. I knew I needed to take action, and this led me to get involved with Clean Power Lake County, a group dedicated to environmental justice. I'm so grateful for the opportunities I've had to advocate for my community, educate schools and groups about environmental justice, and represent Clean Power Lake County in different coalitions to help better my community. I'm also grateful for having had the opportunity to participate and work with the Brushwood Center with their programs like their collaborative conversation series about anti-racism and the environment. I'm hoping the experience I'm gaining will one day help me with being able to start an environmental justice course at Waukegan High School, so kids aren't left with the same feeling of deception I had. I hope to become that teacher I wish I had when growing up. I'm hoping to inspire the next generations to help environmental justice communities achieve climate justice. I can only do so much alone, but if I can inspire the next generations, together we can ensure communities like Waukegan can thrive.
Congratulations, Eddie. We are so moved by your leadership and powerful work. And thank you for sharing your heartfelt words with us. Good evening. I am Gail Sturm, Chairman of the Board of Directors for Brushwood Center at Ryerson Woods. I am so delighted to introduce our impeccable awardee tonight. The Smith Nature Symposium Distinguished Leadership Award honors notable individuals' work in the world of nature. This award has recognized luminaries near and far, beginning with Roger Tory Peterson in 1984. I would like to take a moment to recognize our past honorees as shown on the screen. Each of these individuals have made significant contributions to our communities, and we thank them for their everlasting dedication. This year, we could not be more thrilled to honor Winona LaDuke. Winona is a formidable force of goodness, an internationally renowned activist whose wisdom I now share with you. If we build a society based on honoring the earth, we build a society which is sustainable and has the capacity to support all life forms. Winona lives on the White Earth Reservation in northern Minnesota and is a 2-time vice presidential candidate. As Executive Director of Honor the Earth, she works worldwide on the issues of climate change and environmental justice with Indigenous communities. She is the founder of the White Earth Land Recovery Project, one of the largest reservation-based nonprofit organizations in the country, and a brilliant leader in the issues of culturally based sustainable development strategies, renewable energy, and food systems. A graduate of Harvard and Antioch Universities and recipient of numerous international awards, she has written extensively on Native American and environmental issues. The author of 5 books, she is widely recognized for her work on human rights. Currently, Winona is helping to lead protests to stop the Line 3 oil pipeline expansion through treaty-protected tribal lands in Minnesota. Winona, we deeply admire your passion and lifelong commitment to a sustainable and just future. And I quote, "We are a part of everything that is beneath us, above us, and around us. Our past is our present is our future, and our future is 7 generations, past and present." It is with deep humility and gratitude that we present the Smith Nature Symposium Leadership Award to Winona LaDuke. Please accept this award created by Hyung Kim, internationally renowned botanical artist and founder of the Botanical Art Academy at Brushwood Center. Hyung is a talented teacher whose work is in the collection of the Prince of Wales, among many others. At this time, I welcome Winona and invite her to join Donna LaPietra and Bill Kurtis for conversation on our virtual stage.
Well, Winona, we are beyond proud to have you with us. You are fearless, you are fearsome, but you are also an incredible spokesperson. I love the fact that much of your language that you use is rooted in the Native peoples, and it really comes through in a way that few others do. So again, it is our great pride to be able to have you as this year's Distinguished Leadership Award winner. We have a lot of questions, obviously, in front of us that we want to ask you, but we'd like to start, obviously, where you are, right on the front lines, and that's your attempt to stop the 1,000-mile oil tar sands pipeline that is planned to run from Alberta, Canada, all the way through and down into Wisconsin, but cutting through tribal Indian lands, and also, if I understand correctly, 200 some bodies of water. But before we hear directly from you about where things are, we're going to take a look at a brief clip from a film that captures you and others on the front lines. It's what the filmmaker Carrie Pickett calls "No More Pipeline Blues on This Land Where We Belong."
Ninga ishechike nebe onche. Ninga ishechike nebe onche.
This is the same water that was here when dinosaurs were here. There is no new water. This is the only water we will ever know. This is the same water that my great ancestors drank from and harvested our wild rice upon.
On this land where we belong, surrounded by the northern lights. On this land where we belong, beneath the starlit night. On this land where we belong, wild Monoman grows. Our blood runs red through the watershed of the Mama King. On this land where we belong, rivers, lakes, and streams flow through the heartland of the sacred Mississippi. This water is sacred. Water
water is sacred because without water, there is no life. You cannot drink oil.
Winona, you could not be more correct. We certainly cannot drink oil. So I hope that everything that you're doing will make a difference. But tell us where are we right now? Where are you? How much do you think that you can persevere in this campaign?
So ani nindo e magadido kalo my relatives, benesi kwe indigenicas indaya oma a king gababani kagish kaniganing. I'm in northern Minnesota. Anishinaabe a king is what we call it, the land which the people belong to, the land to which we belong. And I'm up by the White Earth Reservation. That's where I'm from, which is, of course, where we've been fighting an Enbridge oil pipeline for 7 years. And I'm also in the middle of our farm, which is a farm where we grow traditional corn and beans and squash and potatoes and Jerusalem artichokes and sacred tobacco plants and hemp. You know, I'm sitting here and we just listened to this song, which is, you know, really about the kind of the end of a fossil fuel era. You know, we're at this place where the dirtiest oil in the world is in northern Canada. It's in the Alberta tar sands. And that oil is in the middle of Athabascan territory, which is where Native people live, and it's being turned into a sacrifice area for Canada just to mine tar sands oil and stuff it in pipes. It's like, you know, it's so kind of like peanut butter, that the amount of processing and everything that is added to it, energy intensive and dirty, is, and they've been doing that for a while. And Enbridge is a corporation, a Canadian corporation, third largest company in Canada, and they are the largest pipeline company in the world. And they are also the company that brings 75% of the tar sands oil into the United States. And most of that oil is brought right across our territories in a set of lines known as the Main Line. And those lines gave us both the single largest oils, the two largest oil spills in the United States. One was at Kalamazoo, Michigan, which many of us remember, around 2010, 11 years ago. And then there's one that was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And Enbridge wants to bring one more pipeline through. They say it's a replacement pipe because all of their stuff is super old. So it's kind of a dangerous time in the oil industry. Things are breaking and they're old. And it's really also a time in our prophecies that one would want to look towards the next economy. Or in our prophecies, it's called the time of the seventh fire. When we were told that as Anishinaabe people, we would have a choice between two paths. One path, they said, was well-worn but green. And the other path, one path they said was well-worn and scorched. And the second path is not well-worn and it is green. And it will be our choice upon which path to embark. And so here we are in northern Minnesota, where there's a fifth of the world's water, and the Enbridge Corporation wants to put a whole new pipeline in to bring the dirtiest oil in the world across our territory. And we have been fighting it for 7 years, and they are putting that pipe in. They are 90% done. But sadly, the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, seems to believe it's a good idea. And worse yet is the Biden administration, who we had hoped would stop this project years, when they came in. It is a pipeline that is larger than the Keystone XL pipeline. We had hoped that they would do an environmental impact statement on this project. There's no federal environmental impact statement on this project, and it would not pass a climate test, nor would it pass a clean water test. And so a crime is being committed in northern Minnesota, and in the midst of that crime, a whole bunch of us got arrested. So 900 people got arrested in northern Minnesota, including myself. I am facing charges in 3 separate counties and spent 3 nights in jail because I'm a water protector and I'm an Ojibwe person. And it's my responsibility to take care of the water and to take care of our territory. And so we're in the end of a brutal battle. And it's really a question about water or oil. And it turns out that you can't drink oil. And so we're trying to stop them from putting oil in their line because the Canadian multinational that is rogue and does not respect the laws of the United States. And we think the Biden administration should order an environmental impact statement on this project before they get to oil, because what is going on here is a crime.
Well, what about the Biden administration? I mean, are you in front of them? Are they aware of what is happening?
They are aware. We have met with the White House staff. We have met with the EPA staff, the Army Corps of Engineers staff, the BIA staff, or the Interior staff. We have met with all of the agencies and explained to them the legality, the laws that are broken by this Canadian multinational. And you know what the sad thing is politics. Because politics seems to make you do dumb things or the wrong thing for the wrong reasons. People shouldn't get elected when they allow Canadian multinationals to steal your democracy, which is what's going on here. Just to be really clear with you, the Standing Rock police costs were $38 million. Do you remember this? Mm-hmm. Arresting all those people, rubber bullets, combustion, all of that stuff, $38 million worth of repression. Less people arrested at Standing Rock, more people arrested here. But this time, rather than having the state pay for the repression, Enbridge, the Canadian corporation, pays for the police. And so the problem is, just to be clear, is that a Canadian multinational is financing the repression of Indian people and non-Indian people who are water protectors. All of those arrests were paid for by the Canadian corporation. And so I'm someone that was in a river looking at the crime that had been committed by the corporation. It's called a frack out. I'm looking at the crime, and there's a violation of the permit that Enbridge has. I report it to the DNR officer on the shore, and the DNR officer says, I'm going to arrest you if you get out of the river. And so you have a state whose police force is now run by a Canadian multinational. And that is a big problem for democracy, when foreign corporations control your police in a state and not the citizens who that police force is supposed to protect and serve, right? Yeah. It's not just what's wrong with the environment. It's not just that this, if they get oil, it's the equivalent of 50 new coal-fired power plants in terms of additional emissions. It's not just that they are destroying our water. It's also that they own the police. And that's a problem in an American democracy.
That's what I was going to ask you about, because during the 7 years that you've been fighting it, attitudes have changed to the rest of the country, or a lot of the country. Fossil fuel is old and a thing of the past and must be replaced by solar and wind and a sustainable kind of energy. What in the world is the group of investors who are driving this company doing to vote over and over for a project that may well be dead in a few years? What a waste of money, in addition to a waste of the earth.
Yeah, I mean, this is the most expensive tar sands pipeline in history. It's a $9 billion project. It's $2 billion over cost, and it's the last tar sands pipeline. How do I know it's the last tar sands pipeline? Exactly what you just said. I mean, my alma mater, Harvard University, just divested, right, of fossil fuels, as did the University of Minnesota, as did a whole bunch of insurance companies said, we're done insuring. The Saudi sovereign fund divested of their tar sands investments in April, right? I mean, it's last century's playbook, which we now know was a really bad play. And so I'm all ready.
And there's a lot of things that Winona is doing, obviously.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you're that far away. You're so close to having the whole thing change.
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting here and so my tribe, in my organization, we build solar thermal panels. Because why would you want to use 20% more propane in the winter? The sun could just heat your house, right? That'd be the smart way to do it. My tribe is, we have a lot of wood heat here. Some of these tribes are going solar. Up here, Leech Lake has the largest solar project in northern Minnesota, and the Standing Rock tribe has the largest solar project in all of North Dakota. You know, our tribes are ready for the next energy revolution, and I'm ready for hemp. You know, we're working on hemp. And the other thing is that you got to think of why decisions are made. You know, I think of fossil fuels like this economy as kind of like late stage addiction, you know, because we're all fossil fuel addicts. You know, I was raised drive-ins, I drove a car my whole, you know, we're all in the same canoe, but do we really need fossil fuels? No. You know, a lot of that, as you said, could be replaced with electric. Like, for instance, an electric car is 65% efficient. A combustion engine is 16% efficient. So why would you continue driving around in a car that's only 16% efficient? One. Two is, what are you using the energy for? So let me give you an example. The single largest energy consumer in the state of Minnesota is Enbridge. Enbridge, the corporation with the pipeline. Why? Because moving sludge takes power. So what if you don't build a bunch of renewable energy to move sludge, right? What if you built renewable energy that was for things that you really needed? And we're more efficient, right? So that's the transition. It's not just moving from oil to electric, it's moving smarter. It's being a smarter society.
Well, given another season of wildfires out west, Lake Mead becoming a dead lake, hurricanes, of the century, year after year after year, this thing is going to slide very fast into a pro-sustainable energy or nation, I believe. And these guys are going to be standing all alone with billions of dollars of debt on their hands. Now,
no, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's called a stranded asset. That's what it is. When you have a pipeline that you can't use anymore, it's a stranded asset, but I'd call it a liability, you know? And none of Enbridge's pipelines are on their balance sheet as liabilities. But even in the case of this pipeline, they downgraded from a 50-year to a 20-year scenario. They know the party's over. You know, addicts do dumb things. You know what I'm saying? Is like, we used to get oil out of wells that gushed in Oklahoma. And then now we get oil by fracking, you know, breaking up the bedrock of Mother Earth, or the tar sands, or 20,000 leagues under the ocean until you get Deepwater Horizon. That's late stage addiction behavior. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's time to sober up and you know, just be healthy and live a much better organic lifestyle.
But what do you tell your audiences? I mean, there are so many people who want to do something, who want to make a change, who see the greater picture, but feel almost paralyzed because these seem like intractable problems. What do you tell people? How do you do what you do?
Well, you might have to edit this response, but put on your big girl panties. I mean, come on. Did you hear what I said, buddy?
Bill said he will.
Yeah, put on your big girl boxers, big boy boxers. I mean, you know, it's like, grow up. You know, people want to talk about how much power they have, but why do they feel so powerless? You know, quit feeling powerless and do something. You know, everybody makes a difference. I mean, look at that little Greta. You know, look how many people she woke up, that, you know, young woman, right? Everybody can do something. And what you need to do is start in your own, you know, support cool organizations like ours, or environmental organizations, or human rights organizations. Support our work, you know, and do your part. You know, so your part is not only how you shop, but that could be part of it. Like, start cutting back on dumb stuff. Start, rebuilding energy systems, and, you know, buying local food. We gotta be cool, you know?
So you spent time on the farm. You're going to go back there after this interview on your farm with your crops. We're also involved in regenerative agriculture. We're looking for kernza. There's a lot of deep-rooted prairie plants to try and bring value to the land without plowing it up and losing all the carbon all at once. So are you looking for those food seeds, trying to do the same thing with regenerative, or just creating products that will be sold in the local market so that everybody can do something, however small.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things. On one hand, you know, Oma King, on this land, we have a very good life. So you can get sugar from a tree, maple sugar, maple syrup. We're the people. You know, before Uncle Ben's, that was us, right? And then you know, we're the wild rice people, right? This is the epicenter for wild rice. The only place in the world that grows, Monoman, grows on lakes and rivers. And all you have to do is take care of your lakes and rivers. That's what we're fighting for, is our ability to feed ourselves. Because this pipeline crosses our wild rice territory. And oil spills on our rice, we have no rice, you know? So we start with what we have, which is we have, you know, Native people, Indigenous people live where the wild things are. That's where the biodiversity is. You know, on a worldwide scale, we're about 4% of the world's population and 75% of the world's biodiversity. So that is our wild rice, our maple sugar, all our mushrooms, and our fish. We have all of this here. It is a beautiful place to be here. And then we have our crops. You know, I've grown corn for 30 years. Yeah, I've grown corn for 30 years. And I grow old varieties. They're heritage varieties. I call them, you know, they're old school, but they're like pre and post fossil fuels. We don't use fossil fuels. We do horse agriculture, you know, and we use a lot of horse manure.
Wait, horse agriculture? I'm not sure I understand.
Plowing with horses.
You have teams of horses out there.
We have teams. And that's what we're working towards, is rebuilding a local, you know, and it's scale issues, because big is not always best. So sometimes you want smaller scale farms that you can operate with less energy and more people and build community. And that's kind of more a traditional way. Like, it's like how people used to be before agribusiness and confined animal feeding operations began to own everything, right? So our work is in restoring that. And we work particularly with our varieties because, like, our corn has twice the protein and half the calories of market varieties. Same thing with our beans, squash, real high, you know, and then also our corn is climate, it's smart. You know, the GMO varieties, genetically modified crops, you know what I'm talking about? Sure. Those guys don't have a brain. They have a robot in their brain. And ours can adapt. So all my corn, like, there was a drought this year, but my corn is good. But I knew to grow for a dry season, right? So that's what we do, is I'm fight the bad guys because the bad guys got to be stopped, you know? And we're going to keep fighting them, and, you know, they're going to lose their butts in a few years, and we just hope they clean it up before Enbridge cleans up their mess before they go bankrupt, you know? You guys been around. I mean, I remember Union Carbide, Bhopal, explosion in Bhopal, they're bankrupt. W.R. Grace, they're bankrupt, right? We want them to clean up before they move on. But in the meantime, I'm going to take futures and corn and beans and squash and potatoes and hemp and buffalo and solar. That's a better plan, you know?
Well, I like them all.
Yeah.
What specific thing can we do in Brushwood to help you? Write letters to the Congress? We all have friends with Biden in the administration, and get them to direct some attention on this.
So this is a crime that is happening in northern Minnesota. And, you know, they pierced an aquifer. You know what I'm saying? They need a federal environmental impact statement. Biden needs to uphold his integrity. Allowing a project that was approved under the Trump administration to continue without his review shows a lack of any sort of political reasoning. You know, so call Biden, tell Joe this is a no, you know, and there's no oil yet. There's no oil yet. And we're trying to stop them before oil. We have a federal court decision that should be down any day. We are praying that the court rules in our favor. And in the meantime, the only other person who could pull a lever is Joe Biden. And we are begging him. We are begging him to do that.
Well, we will do that, and also we say we really appreciate your notion of a land-based economy as you described it. Bill mentioned Brushwood Center. I want to say that you may know that Brushwood Center is really mission-based around bringing art and nature together. And I know that Honor the Earth is also committed to the same notion. Your mother was an artist, you're an artist. You may well see everyone as artists. And how important and in what ways do you see art and nature coming together?
Well, art, whether visual arts or music, changes people. It heals us, it inspires us, it moves us from where we are into someplace more beautiful. And so we have always committed to this intersection and the nourishing of the arts. Make sure you have some slides of my community has a housing project, and it was built in the war on poverty. That was 60 years ago, and it's dilapidated. We would use that phrase, but that is what my tribe has. And so we painted murals on 10 of the houses, and there are more still to paint. The weather is good, because we understand that people look at those murals and see some changes are made, as we grow the gardens around them, because our gardening is there. So, I was raised well by my mother, Betty LaDuke, I was raised in a room full of giant paintings. So I know that art informs how you view the world. And I'm glad for all that appreciate that. And for my work, I'm an artist, but the art of social change is not a science, it is an art. It's not just the polars, it's how people feel in their hearts, right? That's how change is made, is people feel compelled to do something, to be courageous, or to make a change, or just do something different. And that's how change is made.
How about some questions from the younger viewers and members we have? You'll like these.
We have final questions for you from 3 of Brushwood Center's youth, activists, and leaders.
Hi, my name is Nancy Sarmiento, and I'm a political science student over at North Central College. I used to work for Audubon Great Lakes as their Wild Indigo Coordinator for the Lake County area, as well as Brushwood Center as their Community Engagement Fellow. And my question is, Winona, your work has inspired people from all around. What events made you realize you wanted to advocate for environmental justice?
I was raised well. My parents were, my mother was a civil rights and an anti-war activist. My father was a human rights activist. My mother's still alive. My father is deceased. And my stepfather worked in agriculture. So I was raised by people who believe that you should do the right thing and you should be sensible. And environmental justice comes from those teachings, So I've done this most of my life. And I think as a young woman, to be specific, I debated in high school. I was on the speech team and I debated. And you could never defeat the uranium mining case. There was one case you could never beat. And it taught me that some things, the answer is just no. And so sometimes you should stand and fight. And then what I learned is that the longer you fight them, the more expensive their project becomes.
Hi, my name is Leah Hartung, and I organize here in Lake County with Clean Power Lake County. We organize within frontline environmental justice communities to shift Lake County to healthy, renewable energy and to achieve the self-determination of the immigrant, low-income, and working-class families that call this community home. Yet, as a young environmental activist, I often feel discouraged by our current situation. It is so difficult to voice my concerns about my future and the future of my planet over and over again to politicians that don't seem to care. You have been such an incredible activist for decades now. What drives you to keep going, and what ways do you prevent burnout?
Well, I live where the Creator put me. I live in a place that you can get, sugar from a tree. You can drink the water from a lake. And you can get wild rice. And there are, all kind of animals around us. So I work for them. And they remind me how great life is. I'm grateful. And then I figure out each day is like a puzzle. And the puzzle is, what could you do today to do better? And, you know, I don't do crossword puzzles. I do social puzzles. And, you know, it's to me, it interests me on how you could move a little thing and that could change something big. Like give someone an idea that they could put solar on their house and then they won't feel so fearful.
Good evening. My name is Eddie Flores, an environmental justice activist here in Lake County. Thank you for speaking with us this evening and sharing your inspiring story. My question is, as we see the impacts of climate change on a nearly daily basis, it can be overwhelming. What gives you hope and inspiration to continue fighting for your community and for a more sustainable future?
You know, I see a pretty clear path of solutions, and we are doing it. You know, to be honest with you, I think hemp is the answer. We call it the new green revolution because the fact is that hemp, the word canvas comes from cannabis. And so anything that all textiles, you know, we used to have 11 hemp mills in Minnesota. It could replace the textile industry. It can replace the paper industry. 8 times more fiber in a year than it takes 25 years for trees. No need to deforest. It can replace concrete as hempcrete. And concrete is the 3rd largest CO2 producing entity in the world after the United States and China. Just concrete. So what if we grew hemp and it could sequester carbon faster than anything? Hemp sequesters carbon. So what if we built an intertribal hemp collaborative in the Northern Plains and grew hemp and built housing for tribal people and made paper and textiles and fabrics and had a new green revolution, and Indigenous people led it? That gives me a lot of hope, and that's what we're doing.
You know something? You excite me.
Yeah.
Doesn't she? You really lit a fire. So
yeah, keep an eye on us. Thank you for your time, and keep an eye on us at Honor the Earth and Winona's Hemp. You know, we send our fiber off to Virginia and North Carolina, and we think we're going to have textile fabric by next year.
Good. You've lit an 8th fire,
yeah.
Right?
Well, you want to enter the Chicago market, so keep us in mind. And Brushwood, I'm going to borrow something from your website if I can, the landing page. You should be reading it, but I want to read it instead. How long are we going to let others determine the future for our children? Are we not warriors? When our ancestors went into battle, they did not know what the consequences were going to be. All they knew was that if they did nothing, things would not go well for their children. Do not operate out of a place of fear. Operate from a place of hope. With hope, everything is possible. The time is now. Crazy Horse said that, and you picked it up for your website.
Yes.
We encourage everyone to go to your website, Honor the Earth. There is so much to see there and to learn, and also to be updated on all of your activities with the pipeline, and to donate and support what you are doing. We thank you so much for joining us today, taking some of your time and sharing your incredible wealth of knowledge. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Winona.
Miigwech, thank you so much for the honor of being with you and the recognition. This water is sacred. water is sacred because without water, there is no life. You cannot drink oil.
In honor of Winona, we welcome back Skip Twardos with the Seven Springs Drum from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. They are going to be performing outside in Brushwood Center's beautiful garden. Skip is going to be joined by Mike Pomanikut, Gary Adamson, Mike Aber, Richard Knodel, and Billy Bob Grahn. Thank you, Skip, and Seven Springs Drum. That really was wonderful. We hope that all of you out there have found this evening as inspiring and engaging as we did. And you know, just like any favorite TV show, I think you'll want to be able to watch it again and again. Because I know that's just like Bill, and that's what he does with his old newscasts.
So to give you just such an opportunity, tonight's program will be made available on Brushwood Center's YouTube channel. We encourage you to share it with your family and pets and friends, wherever they are in the world and how deep in the woods they may be.
And even though we are fond here in our neck of the woods of saying life is better at Camp LaPietra,
or even better at Camp Kurtis,
really I think we're going to have to admit that we'll close by saying that life is truly better at Camp Brushwood. So don't forget, and please make a donation to brushwoodcenter.org.
Thank you for joining us at the Smith Nature Symposium. On behalf of both of us and the Brushwood Center team, we thank you for your support. And here's to next year.
Live and in person.